What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the SnodaReels. I am your host, the host that kind of disappoints sometimes. Hey, but as the original host gives me, the bird just like, whew,
I
Sometimes?
think he's just jealous of how much how much energy you're bringing
Sometimes?
to it.
yeah,
Right.
Sometimes?
yeah,
No,
sometimes I'm joined by Black
only
Shad.
sometimes. I have no idea what I was going to say in that one. I'm blind as shit. So
Oh, I caught him off guard. That was so good. I'm also joined
That works.
by DJ Lionheart.
Hope you guys' week's doing all right.
Yeah. And also, we can't forget our favorite person of the group.
the immortal one herself.
Okay, calm down. Okay, you're here. We need you right around here. Okay.
I'm right here. I need to be up here.
I'm just saying, Lewis, if you're going to come in up here, you can't complain when he's around here.
Well, yeah, fair enough. Hungry Hufflepuff Alley.
And how is everybody ripening this day? I mean, how is everybody?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a day. It's a day.
Right? Yeah,
It's a dandy
It's
day.
the most day I've ever had. And that's a promise. So
Hey,
gracious host that
just
only
be
messes up
thankful.
sometimes. What are we talking about tonight?
Today we're going to be talking about stop motion, something that I think a lot of people kind of like push to a side. We don't see it very often as much anymore.
It takes 10 years to do 30 minutes of a movie.
Yeah, but I mean, when
But
it's done,
it looks so good.
it looks
Mhm,
beautiful.
I
When
agree.
it's done right and in the right hands.
Like box trolls.
Yes.
Though that wasn't exactly stop motion, but it was in the vein.
No, that was stop motion.
I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. Brain, yeah.
You're
Anyway,
thinking of the other trolls, the abomination that we do not talk about. That one
What
is
other
not stop
trolls?
motion. Exactly.
I'm honestly not sure which Trolls movie you're talking about.
Oh, sorry.
to,
I'm talking about the one where it's they're eating her, and then they're gonna eat me. Oh my god!
But there's also the classic. There was a whole series about this duo, and then there was movies. Wallace and Gromit.
Yes.
There we go.
A lot of
Good
people
example.
do not talk about it well enough nowadays.
And then you can't
Because
forget
it's like, it's in the
everyone's
zeitgeist.
and you can't forget everyone's favorite, especially around this time of year, Nightmare Before Christmas.
True, that is a good one. Now,
But
I
a
would argue a better one for this time of year, at least as of recording, mind you.
Mhm.
One particular movie that has to do with buttons and eyes, Coraline.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Which actually, believe it or not, as of this recording, is actually going to be getting a re-release this month in theaters with never before seen deleted scenes.
Which I'm pretty sure is going to score the crap of New Generation. Hooray!
Hey,
Yeah.
childhood trauma.
Yay!
It goes around.
Comes around. We also can't forget one of my favorites, Chicken Run. God,
Chicken
I
Run's a
love
really good one. It's
Run.
from the same people that did Wallace and Gromit, and actually we
Yep.
are supposed to be getting a sequel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, which I'm.
It's been how long?
It's
Oh,
been so
long.
long.
Way too
hold
long.
on. I can pull
Oh,
up the
fact
date
checking.
and fact
I think
check.
it came out in the
Also-
90s, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
It did.
2000 actually.
Oh.
Okay, never mind.
Really?
We're wrong. Okay,
Right,
never
because
mind.
DreamWorks didn't come
it
around
was
until
ju-
98, so that makes sense. It was a
It's
DreamWorks.
close enough to the 90s.
They were probably working
Yeah.
around it in the 90s, so I mean, at this point, we can count it
But-
in the 90s.
I think it went in. It was in
I
production.
feel like
for 4
Chicken
years, yeah.
Run was one of the underrated films.
It was.
There's
I
one
think it was
problem I
really
have with Chicken
underrated.
Run, and it was a problem I have with a lot of like movies coming out of the 90s and into the early 2000s was the liar reveal shit. I hated that fucking stick. Even as a
Mhm.
kid, I was like, this is boring.
Mm-hmm.
We know
It-
they're a
it-
liar. Fuck off. You know.
Right.
It was a really overplayed conflict.
Yeah.
Oh, what everybody considers the greatest film of all time, Shrek, has a liar reveal. What I consider the better
Yep.
movie, Shrek 2, doesn't have a liar reveal. Kinda.
And then
Kind of.
I also love James and the Giant Peach. I think that was also one of my favorite ones. It will kind of
It counts
but
for the majority of it. It's
yes.
minus the beginning and the ending, it counts. I will give you
Yeah.
that.
think
I
it was
actually
phenomenal.
typed in like top 10 stop motion films. James and the Giant Peach is actually on that list.
That doesn't surprise
I'm
me.
not surprised.
Yeah.
Another
And-
one that wouldn't surprise me is Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yes, I
That
love
is
I
another
love
good
that
one.
phenomenal.
Good movie.
Really, really. I think it's one
Uh,
of Leica's best movies. I really do.
I haven't watched that one in a while. I'm gonna have to let. I'm gonna have to
I
sit down and watch
eventually
again.
gave it a shot because I remember when it was marketed, I'm like, Matthew McConaughey, really? And then
Mhm.
I finally
Yeah.
watched it and I'm like, holy
It's a
shit, this is
solid
actually
movie.
really good.
The story
Yeah.
is actually
Oh,
really well
yeah.
done. It's a really
really
well-done story.
stacked cast too.
It really was.
Ray Fiennes, Matthew McConaughey, Charlize Theron. Shit, I think Judy Greer's in it too, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's a great. Plus, it also holds the record for biggest stop motion puppet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it was like a
giant
what
skeleton.
10-footer, I think is what it was.
Oh,
Something
wow.
like that.
Something
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
it was a
It was a big one.
huge fucking mechanical thing. Yeah, and they only really had half the torso that was like
Yeah.
shot that way. So it's very interesting to see how it looked.
Mhm.
Now, of course, what I think is one of Leica's most underrated is Paranorman.
Oh,
That
I
yeah.
agree.
That's a really good movie. It's
I
not
agree.
perfect. I would have to say, like, if we're gonna go for masterpiece from Leica, I will have to say it's gonna be Kubo and the Two Strings.
Mhm.
It has to be. But Paranorman has a lot of first. I
I
liked
think
the
Frank and
subversion,
Weenie is on that same
Yeah, Frank and
aspect.
but
Weenie.
Frank and Weenie wasn't stop motion, and nor was it Leica.
I thought it was.
Yeah, it
Disney,
was.
and it was
No.
CG animated.
Ah.
It was
okay.
CG.
Okay.
It looked close to stop motion, but
It
it
did. It
Yeah,
did.
it was very. It was meant to be choppy because it was supposed to be like old grainy footage,
Okay.
which I do like. Frank and Weenie. Frank and Weenie's not a bad movie.
hmm
It's weird, but it's Tim Burton. What do you expect? No, I think personally, there's a lot of stuff that could work with it, and yeah, I mean, stop motion is great. Obviously, you have your Wallace and Gromit, you have your other stuff. I still think my favorite is probably Kubo and the Two Strings. Coraline will always hold a place in my heart for scaring the ever loving shit out of me. And Paranorman will have a place in my heart for I didn't know how to feel about it until I sat down and thought and really started thinking about what I saw, and I was like, no, this
Yeah.
is actually a really good movie.
hmm
Believe it or not, the jock is gay. I didn't even realize it. It was that
Yeah.
subtle. I was like, what the
It was a single line.
Yeah.
Just no attention was brought to it.
No, and it didn't. It's not like it wrecked the character or anything. He obviously had
No,
a
it
character.
didn't.
I mean, I feel like that's the best way you can go about it instead of
Oh,
just
no,
being like,
100%.
here I am, I'm
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
You know,
hmm
I'm
He
here. I'm
just-
here to stay, and fuck you. Maybe I
Right.
don't know.
It
It
was
depends on what
just
you got
the-
between your legs.
It was the sister suggesting some kind of hangout to the jock, and the jock's just like, "Oh, my boyfriend loves that stuff," and moves on.
Yeah. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Right.
That's
right.
Oh man, yeah. No, I hate the fact that Leica isn't making any movies anymore, or at least as far as we know.
we forgot about one. I think one or two that also were out. Mr. Fantastic Fox.
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah.
Really good. And then
It was a
that's
little
Wes Anderson.
creepy looking.
Well, that's because it's Wes
Yeah.
Anderson. Wes
Fair
Anderson
enough.
used real fur.
To be perfectly honest, I actually did not care for that one.
A
I
lot of people
love
loved it.
Fantastic Mr. Fox. The
Yeah,
one
I
I
know
did
a
not
lot
care
of people
for
loved it.
was the
it just
Dog
wasn't-
Island one.
Oh,
What was that
yeah,
one
yeah.
called?
Oh, the Isle of Dogs.
Isle of Dogs. Yeah,
Isle of Dogs.
I didn't
Okay,
care
yeah,
for
yeah.
that one. I did watch it. I was like, oh no, this is fine. It's just I liked Fantastic Mr. Fox better. It's like it tries to capture the same wowness, and I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't know. I would much rather watch another live action Wes Anderson flick. But no, like I liked Isle of Dogs. It wasn't bad. I just think Fantastic Mr. Fox has so many more memorable moments.
Yeah, I know it didn't do as well as Mr. Fantastic Fox. For sure.
No, Fantastic Mr. Fox never did that well either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really hit its home run with streaming and DVD sales. That's where it really got to.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's one of my favorite Wes Anderson films. Everybody forgets to put that on their list. They're like, oh, the Royal Tenenbaums, or all this other shit. I'm like, yeah, but everybody forgets about Fantastic Mr. Fox, and then as soon as you mention it, they're like, oh yeah, that one. I'm like, yeah, that's one of my favorites from him. Don't get me wrong, Royal Tenenbaums is one of my favorite live action. Because it's funny enough, I've seen enough of them. I have my least favorite live action and my least favorite stop motion. My least favorite live action, Steve Zissou. I love the cast, but I cannot stand the movie. And then my most favorite live action is Royal Tenenbaums, and then most favorite stop motion is Fantastic Mr. Fox.
I do think that if we're going to be talking about stop motion, we can't just focus on movies, because there is a huge
Plethora
amount of it.
Yeah.
There is a plethora of it on YouTube.
There
Oh,
is. Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Like, the thing about stop motion in general is it's a good medium to start off with if you're going to be making films and the videos.
Yeah.
Because it shows the people who are working on them just how these little differences add up.
Mhm. I had to do a stop motion project for AV at one point, and it was a pain in the ass.
Same here. I did one of I just kind of made it easy on myself. I did Pac-Man. It's actually pretty cool. It was very hard to kind of like take all the pictures and move something, and it kind of gives you a perspective of like, we watched all these stop motions and like, wow, you have more respect for the people who actually do this as a profession and stuff.
And the other problem is because if you have to edit it, you have to get the frame rate right. Because
Oh, yeah.
even if you're
Right.
taking pictures, with Adobe, they have such a long thing on the frame. So like you have to do it frame by frame, or at the very least 3 frames.
Yeah.
3 frames by 3 frames.
I know it's not really stop motion now; it's more digital because of the advances of technology and whatnot. But South Park, one of the biggest ones, actually started out as a college
It
project.
still
Yeah.
is,
Stop motion.
believe it or not.
Really?
It is.
Yes, it actually is.
Like,
I
They've
didn't think it was
they've
still stop
advanced-
motion.
They have combined it with some CG, but still the character design is still stop motion.
Yeah.
Robot Chicken is still done in stop motion, believe it or
Yes.
not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was
It
just
is
crazy.
still a valuable medium to work in.
it is. It just takes forever. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why Robot Chicken.
And
The reason why South Park still works is because they have a lot of the same character models. That's why they never really
Mhm.
change anything. So
Yep.
for like any core character, that's why you're starting to see less and less newer characters,
Mhm.
because you do have to redesign that, or you do have to redo. It's just now it doesn't look as stop motion. Now it looks very smooth,
Mhm.
because their budget has gotten bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, South Park is a great example. It's not like claymation. Obviously, there is a difference between claymation and stop motion. Stop motion you can do with construction paper. Claymation
Yeah.
you have to do with clay. So like technically, Lego is a form of claymation if you wish to be technical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
which the Lego Movie does not count. I know everybody's like, oh, but it looks like something. It was done entirely.
It
digital.
doesn't. It
Yeah.
yeah.
It was done entirely digital, but it looks really good.
Yeah. It definitely
no,
does.
It definitely looks great. I will give it that.
Definitely, like, yes, Coraline and Kobo definitely are like in my top 5, but that was like later on. I think growing up, my favorites were actually Corpse Bride
Corpse Bride. I forgot about Corpse Bride.
was
Corpse Bride's
definitely
really good.
one of my favorites. Obviously,
such
Nightmare
a good
Before
one.
Christmas was one of my absolute favorites growing
I
up.
remember
yeah.
Corpse
a
Bride.
classic.
And
Mhm.
and honestly, I don't think a lot of people talk about this. 9.
Oh
Nine's
yeah,
not
yeah,
stop
yeah.
motion,
It's
though.
not
Nine
stop
is
motion.
definitely
That's not stop
9
motion.
is
It's showing up on
Oh,
the
yeah,
part
no,
of
it's-
on the stop motion list I'm looking at.
It's not stop motion. It's motion
Weird.
capture. If I'm
Weird,
not
it's
mistaken,
showing
it's
up
motion
on,
capture.
like-
Hold on.
No, I've rewatched it
Yeah.
recently. That's not stop motion. That's entirely CG
Weird.
animated.
Hold on. Because I
Isn't
saw.
even
I
weird,
think,
like,
I,
why would
I
it-
think I saw
why would it
behind the
show up on a-
scenes.
Yeah,
Maybe
then
they
why
did
would it-
use it.
Maybe it was part. half and half, maybe kind of.
Maybe, but the frame rate was too smooth. It wasn't janky. Because stop motion looks very janky, even if you try to make it look as smooth as possible.
Mm,
That's part of it.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yes. But
Um, wasn't
I mean, I've seen
the
smooth stop motion, but it's always still got that kind of jaggedness to it.
It was computer animated.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
about to say it's CGN.
okay?
I don't know why it's on that list.
I don't know why.
But
either.
9
That's
is a
kinda weird.
great movie. I
Yeah.
love 9. The fact that it was marketed towards kids makes it even better.
A more recent one, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Mm-hmm.
That one was stop motion. I actually really did enjoy that movie.
I did enjoy. That one was creepy, but I loved it.
It literally looked like a horror film within the first 5 minutes of Pinocchio being
It
alive.
did.
I was like, are we going to get a horror film? No.
The minute that axe started moving,
Yeah. No.
I'm like, oh crap!
No.
Okay, the
And I'll
first
say
few
this:
minutes-
I didn't expect it to be as depressing as it was. It was very
Yeah.
depressing towards the end.
Yeah.
It was a very melancholy movie, which
Mhm.
is great because I think that's honestly, if you go back and look at the original Pinocchio story, it's supposed to be like a tale of like, oh yeah, you want to be a brat? Here's what could happen to you.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
like one of his friends that turns into a donkey, he later on sees him, and he's a fucking work mule. Like he's working on a farm and he dies. Like it's a dark ass tale. Of course, coming from the French, what do you expect? But like
Right.
Pinocchio is
Well, I mean, I want
Dark.
to point out the darker aspects were either mitigated or nullified completely by Disney. I mean,
100%.
Pleasure Island. Where do you think those those boys were going after the transformation?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like when I
No,
was first watching his take on Pinocchio, honestly, like the first few minutes before even Pinocchio showed up, I was like, "Am I watching a Pinocchio movie? Is this really?"
Yeah, that's what I was
Pinocchio?
thinking too.
I'm like,
I was
what
like,
the
holy
fuck?
shit, is this actually meant to be Pinocchio?
Yeah.
God damn.
And it's
Uh,
funny you brought up Shrek earlier. The whole theory behind Donkey is he was one of the children from Pleasure Island.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I do remember that theory. That's a good theory, actually.
Yeah.
It would make sense, but not really, because the donkeys eventually never are able to talk again. So maybe he went full
some-
transformation. Some do, some don't. It depends.
Yeah. So he
Yeah.
was probably one of the like rejects that escaped or something.
Can
like
we
that.
all
I don't
just
know.
talk about the weird ass live action stop motion hybrid Pinocchio with Jonathan Taylor Thomas from the
we have to?
90s?
I
Yes, we do have to. Somebody brought up Pinocchio, god damn it. Now we're gonna have to talk about it.
You brought up Pinocchio.
I know. I know.
Don't say something.
No, actually somebody else brought up Pinocchio. I just
I
kept
brought up
going with it.
Pinocchio because I enjoyed Guillermo del Toro's. So
Yeah, I
man.
love Guillermo del Toro's. It was great.
I didn't know that was stop motion.
His
The 90s
animation
one.
was, yeah. The 90s one, like just his animation was. Or at the very least it was puppetry. I don't remember, but yeah, no, that movie.
That one's
you
been
want to talk
so
about
long
a
since I watched.
haunting? You want to talk about a haunting freaking donkey transformation? The
no, thank you.
yeah, even though it's all of
No,
like
thank
30
you.
seconds, it's still haunting. Obviously, I still think the most haunting is the one from Disney. And that's
Yeah.
honestly what I really wanted Del Toro's version to do. I wanted to see a Pleasure Island kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what we got was fine. I get it. You know, it takes place during World War II. Obviously, you're going to have indoctrination of kids. Because that did happen to a lot of access countries, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I was just like, you already went the magical route with these rabbits, with this freaking Sphinx looking thing.
Mhm.
Obviously, you went through these. I was like, you could have given us some Pleasure Island shit. Like, and you still
Yeah.
could have made it fucked up. Like, oh, they're getting turned into donkeys in order to be like packing mules for the war. You know, like you could have still made it dark and twisted and had a lot of fun with it. But I think he's like, I've already added enough magical elements. I don't really see the need for more. And it's like, okay.
Okay, this one also, like, it wasn't all the way stop motion, but the original 1980s Clash of the Titans had stop motion.
Well, you got to look at it that way. Like, so before CG was a thing, obviously you had to, if you wanted to do that like big, larger than scale life, you had to go with stop motion. So Jurassic Park was originally going to be stop motion, believe it or not.
Yeah.
It was going to be done by Stan Winston. So
But
yeah,
still,
no, the Clash of
it's
Titan from the
still a
80s, it's still really good.
It's a great classic.
Homer's Odyssey is a really good one too.
I
wanna
actually
talk about
haven't
some
seen
really
that
good-
one. I haven't seen
dude,
that
I think
one.
it came out in the 60s. I want to say it was the 60s. It might have been earlier. It was in color, so at least there's that. But
Yeah.
no, it came out and the stop motion was done really, really well. Because there's a whole point where there's an island and you're fighting off skeletons. I think it was Homer's Odyssey. I want to say it was Odyssey, but I don't remember. I just know that that's like it was referenced in Spy Kids 2, where they're fighting the skeletons.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That's what the reference was. It was referencing that, which I
that's
thought was
hilarious.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that was actually one of the first. I think it was one of the first action scenes of an effect interacting with somebody without them becoming effect themselves.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You want to talk about really good live action blending with stop motion? The original King Kong.
oh yeah,
Oh
That
yeah.
stop motion
Yeah.
is great.
I
It's
was
dated.
about to say, you go back to some of the original movies that were the big monster movies. A lot of them actually use stop motion for their monsters.
yeah.
Mhm.
I.e., what is on my shirt?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Still.
Dun, dun, dun. Sorry.
Who remembers
Hey.
Shaun the Sheep?
Shaun
Shaun the Sheep was
Vaguely.
also.
It was one of those that it's like I remember it. I remember having
Ooh.
fond memories. I don't remember anything about it though.
I
Um,
loved Shaun the Sheep.
Shaun
I'm
the Sheep
probably
was
gonna
fun.
date myself because I'm one of the oldest ones here. Gumby.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, that's a hard
I
hitter.
remember
I
that.
forgot about Gumby. God damn.
I don't know why that popped in my head, but I just remember Gumby when I was little.
Oh
It's like-
man, I used to watch some of the like I had a DVD of like old school like animated shorts, and it was the best of Gumby, and
Mhm.
I used to watch that a lot. I was like, Gumby's pretty cool. I like it. You know, it's really original stop motion. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
Who's seen the Adventures of Mark Twain? I know that was dark
I
as
haven't seen that.
fucking
damn.
acid trip right there, bro.
Actually, it's mostly normal, except
The one
for
scene.
The
one
scene.
scene, and that one scene is infamous for a reason.
I have not seen.
Yes, you have. You've repressed it
You
in your
blocked
memories.
it out of your memories.
It scarred you that bad, Leon.
Well, it's on Tubi for free, so I will
Oh,
get
have a
around to
fun
watching
time.
it.
I will say have a fun time with that.
To Spiritu Santi, amen. Anyways, just obviously there's a great element of stop motion that makes things creepy. Because yeah, you can make it charming, but like
Yeah.
even Gumby was creepy to an extent.
It was.
Um,
It was.
Yeah, Gumby got creepy to an extent. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
Oh, that's another one I forgot. A lot of the original holiday Christmas specials were all stop motion too.
Very cheaply
Yeah.
and horribly done, but yes, I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about. The Rankin
Yeah.
Bass movies.
The Rankin
Why
Bass.
they're considered holiday classics, I will never fucking know.
Hey,
Because
the
they
public
were-
likes this classic.
It's the stuff
I
that we
prefer
grew
Charlie
up with
Brown.
around that time.
Yeah.
That's fair. I grew up with them too. Don't get me wrong. No, like I find it funny that the Rankin Bass ones, they add so many pointless details that what they're going off of, it makes no fucking sense. Like Rudolph, the only thing they got right is that he's a reindeer nobody liked, and he had a fucking red nose. That's the only things they got right. Also that he guides Santa's sleigh. Everything else,
It's a song
they had
that
it been
has a
on fucking
verse.
acid.
Yeah.
Right.
It has,
It
it's a
had to
song
have been
that has
on
a
acid.
single verse. In and of itself, it doesn't make the plot of a movie.
He's Mr. Icicle.
That was a completely different Rankin Bass thing. That was a
Still a
completely
great-
different.
still
That
great.
was
That was
But,
that was the Santa Claus one, right?
that
Yeah,
was
Santa
the
Claus
that was
was
the year
coming
without
to
a Santa
town.
Claus.
That was the one with Santa Claus.
Yeah.
No. There were two that
There's
had
Santa Claus
Claus
Origin.
coming to make- There was Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which was the origin of Santa Claus, and then there was the
Uh-huh.
year without a Santa Claus, which had Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Snow and Mr.
Icicle, or sorry, Mr. Snow and Mr. Heat
Miser.
Miser and Snow Miser.
Yes,
Snow
them.
Miser,
Yeah.
Snow Miser.
Yeah. If I
I'm
remember correctly,
Mr.
that one,
Heat Miser.
The Year Without a Santa Claus was supposed to be like a semi-sequel to Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah, supposedly. And you brought up Rudolph, and what's interesting, the way we see the ending of that movie is not actually the original.
Huh.
Because
Go through and explain.
okay, so in the movie you see Rudolph and his pals go to the land of misfit toys, right?
Yep.
And so you see them, and like Rudolph tells them they'll be back. In the original version, they never go back to the island of misfit toys. And the studio got bombshelled with freaking letters from kids' parents asking is like, where's the misfit toys? So they remade it to where they go back to the island.
So let me reenact this. It's like, and so it ends with Rudolph being the hero of the day. It's like, okay, cool. So
We're not going back to the island.
no. It's like, so what happened to him going back to the island for Misfit Toys? What? You mentioned the island of Misfit Toys. Shit. Hold on.
Oh, the island of misfit toys.
Yeah, it's like, shit. Okay, give us like 2 months. Okay.
we'll get back to you.
Yeah,
We'll
get
just
back
get
to
an entire. We'll get an entire credit sequence of them just dropping these toys off the side of the sleigh.
pretty much, yeah.
Mhm.
Did you know that Rankin Bass actually did an animated adaptation of Return of the King?
Really?
Yes, not stop motion, not stop motion. It was 2D animated.
Hmm.
A lot of people didn't know that because there was the Ralph Bakshi interpretation of Lord of the Rings, which was the first and second book combined.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Allie knows what I'm talking about.
Oh,
That
Oh,
acid
no.
trip. Yeah, for every good thing that we got, it did cost us a Samwise.
like-
Going to see the elves? Oh, hooray!
I mean, okay, if you want to know how much of an acid trip it is, it's Ralph
It's a Ralph
Bakshi.
Bakshi film.
Yeah.
First off, it's a Ralph Bakshi film.
Yeah.
Second off, it's a Ralph Bakshi film. And third off, it's Ralph Bakshi.
Yeah.
That's probably the explanation you need.
I
Right.
totally forgot that the Little Prince was also stop
Oh, the little
motion.
drummer boy? Or the little...
No.
that's what you mean?
No.
The Little Prince, part of it was actually was it so much or was it computer animated?
It says
The
on
Little-
here on this. It says claymation movies. It's on the list.
But you can't believe everything you read on the internet.
I don't know. There's a lot of like movies that some
So,
good, some bad.
complete and total sidetrack.
Mhm.
But I do want to share with you guys a jingle that I came up with at work because work was dragging on. It's like, I want to go home and cry, but most importantly, I just want to fucking die. And that's my song.
Yeah. I totally forgot about this movie didn't do as well either, which was the Pirates in an Adventure, the band of misfits, the Pirates of
Oh, those guys.
yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, that movie did not do as well. Hence why Christian is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. I was like, I don't know. That one doesn't sound familiar to me.
Oh, that one. Yeah,
It
no,
was,
that one did
it
not
was
do well.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of those ones that just kind of slipped under the radar for a lot of people.
I think that was
Ro-
also Leica, if I'm not mistaken.
Rotten Tomato gave it about an 86%.
Yeah, no, it's got that British sense of humor. No,
And
it is
then-
the Wallace.
It does.
It's the Wallace and
Yeah.
Gromit team. That's why.
Mhm. And then
Yeah.
audiences gave it a 6.7 out of 10.
So one that everybody thinks is stop motion, but is actually a perfect example of CG imitating stop motion.
Mhm.
Flushed Away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh yeah.
Everybody forgets that. They think it's stop motion.
That one's one of those where the jankiness is just enough to where you can notice it.
I'm sorry. The
Yeah.
only part I cared about that movie were the slugs singing. Those were like the best parts.
Honestly,
You know-
now they're the worst part. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
perfectly honest with you. Now
I
it's just
hate
the
the
world
slugs.
building.
I hate
The world building. I don't hate them. They're not as bad as you would think. I think the frogs are the funniest part now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the frogs
Oh,
were
yeah.
always the funniest part to me. I still don't understand if something had to do with because of the movie not performing well in theaters, but they said that there was supposed to be a sequel.
From
And
Flush
then
Away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was
Yeah,
supposed to be a
there's
second one,
sequel.
and
Wouldn't
then
put
it
it past
never
DreamWorks now.
I mean, then what's the point? Because I mean, like at this point, like
I wouldn't mind Kate Winslet and Hugh Jackman doing another movie.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, Flushed Away wasn't one of my favorites, but it was all right.
I actually really enjoyed the video game for the DS. It was a side scroller.
I've actually never played that one.
Oh, for the DS, it was a side scroller. It
Yeah.
was actually a lot of fun. Not gonna lie.
I'm wondering if they had one for PlayStation 2. And
I don't think so.
Probably. I don't know.
Probably not. No.
Maybe.
I mean, there's
I
always
think I
a
remember
chance.
seeing one for like the GameCube, possibly. I think I remember
That
seeing
might
one
be
for
it then.
GameCube. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know. That wasn't like I said, that wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, no.
general.
Obviously, stop motion is a big important thing. Like, I think it also inspired a lot of other stuff as well. Like,
Mhm.
honestly, you could argue that the Lego Movie would not have worked as well if stop motion wasn't a thing. You
Right.
could also
I agree.
argue that Spider-Verse would have never become a thing if stop motion wasn't a thing.
yeah,
Because that's, I mean, yeah, essentially that's playing around with frame rate, which is fine. But, it's just one of those things. It's like, well, if we wouldn't have gotten Spider-Verse, there's a whole bunch of other stuff we wouldn't have gotten. And I think this is one of those. It's like, okay, cool. So, stop motion, whether you love it or hate it, because I know some people, they're like, I can't stand stop motion because it creeps me out too much. And I'm like, I get it. It's just weird,
a lot
janky
of them
shit.
do hit that version.
Yeah.
A lot of them do hit that one point in that uncanny valley.
Well, okay, so there is a difference. I've noticed whenever people say that, they're usually talking about claymation because you see like the thumbprints and it's bigger than usual. That's different from stop motion. Like I've mentioned before, you can do stop motion with construction paper, i.e. South Park. But you could also, you can do stop motion with a whole bunch of other stuff.
I would argue that it's more of a squares and rectangles situation.
Yes, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
It's not different. It's just an aspect of it.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't argue with that. Honestly, that's actually probably a good way to describe it, honestly.
For me, I think for stop motion and claymation, I think because they take so long to do, I think they're better in movies. I would say they're better stories than most animated films. Me personally,
Yes and no. I would argue James and the Giant Peach has little to no story, at least ones that make sense.
Mhm.
The fucking rhino makes no goddamn sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I never understood the
Yeah.
rhino part for it, but like, I think that's like kind of one of the
Okay.
anomalies for.
I mean, it's a Roald Dahl book. I understand there's going to be some
Yeah.
weird unexplained shit, but like, come on.
right.
That James's parents were killed by a rhino.
I remember
does
that,
make a bit
but it was a
more sense.
rhino in the sky.
Think of it from a child's perspective. They hear thunder. Immediately, their first thought goes to what they're if it causes fear in them, their first thought goes to what they're most afraid of. In that instance, a rhino rumbling through the sky makes sense.
yeah.
Okay.
Fair.
Okay, I can see that.
I
Also,
can see
the
you
fact
getting ready
that-
to argue with me.
Yeah,
I had an argument prepared. I'm not gonna lie. I was about to say, I think you're reading too far into this movie for a plot that makes no sense.
But I mean, you got to understand, like James is a little kid, so I mean, how is the little kid gonna interpret certain things?
Fair. I'll give you that. So exhausting, it's killing me.
yeah. I honestly think most of the stop motion had better storytelling. And
No, I don't disagree. There's definitely a lot of stuff that does have really good storytelling that is stop motion. Like, I would argue Kubo and the Two Strings. I think, honestly, that's the gold standard for stop motion. I'm going to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest. It really
Yeah.
is. Now, would I like a stop motion horror movie sometime? Oh fuck yeah!
It would.
I think
Oh,
stop
that'd
motion
be
works
interesting.
perfect in horror.
I feel like it would have to be done with two different directors, like one that deals with horror, one that like deals with stop motion.
Well, yeah, most animated movies have two different directors. You have an animation
Okay.
director and you have a director.
Mhm.
So, and sometimes they're one and the same. Like Brad
Yeah.
Bird usually does his own stuff. Like he's the animation director and the director of The
Mhm.
Incredibles.
Yeah.
Also the voice of Edna Mode.
Yeah.
Random. But that being said, I think definitely this is one of those things that like it's not easy, but it's not hard to talk about. It's just, it's what all can be said that hasn't been said about stop motion, obviously.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, the thing, like you brought it up earlier, that the main thing keeping people from appreciating it and doing it more often is the time.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is representative of how much as a culture humanity has leaned more towards instant gratification.
Yeah.
translation, we live in a society.
In a society where they're like, oh, look at this old like cartoon that
Hold
like
on,
shows
hold on.
pencil drawings. Ew, I want the clean animation.
It's not even that.
Wait a second.
It's
We
the
live in a society.
it's the I want to make
know
my
how I
money
got
now,
these
so I'm going.
scars.
It's like I'm not even here.
Wait, there's somebody talking?
Hello from the other side.
It's more that the people behind the movies are saying, "I want my money faster." Putting time in stop motion doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though there is more heart put into stop motion just because of how much interaction is done with the medium.
Yeah.
Now, I will
So
say
it
this.
comes across
Oh.
a bit better.
Yeah, no, I will say this though. Obviously, Kubo did not do well, box office wise. It was critically well received, but Kubo did not do well in the box office. Neither did obviously your Pirates movie.
Fantastic
A
Fox.
lot of stop motion movies have not really done astronomically well in theaters. They work better at home, which is where
Yeah.
Wallace and Gromit came in, Shaun the Sheep. Obviously, like they work better as an at-home experience.
Yeah.
Like I can safely say, even though I went and saw Paranorman was not a box office hit. It was enough to make its money back, obviously.
Yeah.
Like these movies were never like bombs. I think the
Yeah.
only one that did bomb, which is unfortunate, was Kubo, because Kubo was like kind of that last dish effort at a fully stop motion animated film, and I believe that's what killed it. I think
Yeah.
Leica's actually
Mhm.
shut down because of that. I think they've had too many financial losses and not enough wins to where, yeah. But I mean, to be fair, a lot of their stories, it is hard to market those. Like Kubo was it's such a unique concept. It's a hard one to try and market.
It is.
Like there's plenty of movies that are really hard to market, at least to get people interested. So
Mhm.
I would think, Kubo is definitely one of those. I did not envy the marketing team. That's a hard one to try and sell.
Yeah.
Another one would be a good example of somebody that marketed the hell out of the movie and gave us a completely different expectation from the from the product that we got was Barbie. Hands out, fucking shout out to the marketing team for that movie. Jesus Christ, they gave us a completely different vibe from the movie we got.
Suffix.
Anyways, I'm just talking about marketing. Like marketing is a hard thing, obviously. So
Yeah.
you add stop motion on top of that, something that not everybody has an appreciation for. It is hard as hell to market stuff. The last, I think, fully stop motion feature that was considered a financial hit was Coraline.
Yes.
And that's because it was
Yeah.
marketed the hell out of. And it went by word of mouth. And that's where Kubo fell into. It fell into that word of mouth. It became better. It became more popular in the at-home market, which is fine. Paranorman was a similar thing. Obviously a lot of Leica's films. Like they
Yeah.
made their budget. They made their money back with theaters, but I think they mostly made any major profit. They made that back in the at-home department.
I think
Mhm.
Coraline got even popular because of the fact of it was always being run on the HBO channels.
Well, yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely have your syndication for sure. There's been plenty of movies that have done well because of syndication. Like I would argue, Ooh, what's a good movie that was like not well received when it first came out, and now it's considered like a classic thanks to syndication.
There's quite a few of those. That's like hard to
Yeah,
yeah.
I would argue The Thing. Granted, that was through word of mouth and VHS, so that's
Yeah.
different.
Mhm.
The John Carpenter's Thing.
And also the play too. I mean,
Oh, really good one. Fucking Halloween 3. The Season of the Witch. That's considered a cult classic now. Thanks to word of mouth and syndication.
Mhm. Yeah.
I had to think of the right John Carpenter movie.
Yeah, it's hard to think of movies like that, but like
It is,
I
yeah.
stop motion and claymations, honestly, sadly, because even though it's always beautifully done, like
Mhm.
it's
And they're not
sadly
the
a
most expensive
dying
movies to
art.
make either.
no.
It's
Yeah.
sadly a dying art, and
It
that's
is.
what a lot of the animated films now are going more into the CG route and
Making
like
it
not
look like
really,
it's stop motion.
yeah, make it look like a stop motion or like um a big example, another one that's a dying art would be the Studio Ghibli films. They're all
The
hand
2D
drawn.
animated, hand
Yeah, the
drawn.
2D animated, which another dying art, and those are amazing movies.
I think what's his name? He directed like majority of the Studio Ghibli films.
I can't remember.
Miyazaki? I
I
think his name
think
is
so.
Miyazaki. Yeah,
Miyazaki,
yeah,
I think,
Miyazaki. He said he's gonna make one more, and then he's shutting down the studio. He's shutting down the studio, or at least stepping down. It's something down. I think he said he's gonna make one more Studio Ghibli film, and that's it. We're done at that point. And I'm like, hey, dude, if there's a way to bow out, then bow out, man. Bow out with a
Right.
fucking banger. You know, Studio Ghibli is
Yeah.
just one of those. It's like, I would say they're one of the last strongholds, and the fact that
Hmm.
yeah, they do well, but obviously, you know, Ponyo was released in theaters, didn't do well in America.
Yeah,
It did
Ponyo.
great whenever it hit Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
did wonders when it hit the DVD and the Netflix sales.
And I
So
remember the marketing wasn't bad. I think
it
just a
just was
lot of
lackluster.
well, also, I mean, Ponyo was coming out when like still like when anime wasn't like as
Anime was
high
getting up
peak,
there, but it was mostly with middle schoolers and younger.
and then
Yeah.
people
The
who
people who grew up
were
with
like
it,
grew
yeah,
up with it too.
yeah, obviously.
I remember I saw it. I was somewhat excited to wanting to see it. I never got to see it in theaters, but like
Well, I've
uh,
seen about as much as I need to see thanks to the Nostalgia Critics review. Anyways, sorry.
but yeah, no, I think with a lot of things is just timing. Like
Hmm.
I think we might still see some more. I don't think as much as we
I
want.
hope so.
Yeah.
I hope
still
so
think
too. I hope Leica makes one more movie. I want them to go out with a triumph. Like, don't get me wrong, Kubo is definitely a magnum opus. I think it's
Mhm.
really really solid. But I think
It is a good movie. It is a good one to go out.
oh
on.
yeah, absolutely. But I think I would like to see them do one more. I'd like to see what else they could do. Honestly, do something similar to Coraline. Make it a horror movie. I think it'll work out great.
I really hope that stop motion in and of itself doesn't die out because it is one of those mediums that a whole lot of heart is put into.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it has to for that much effort and that much time to be put into.
yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think another a horror movie would be really cool to see. Maybe an action movie, some kind of like full hard action, or maybe a mystery type film too.
I wouldn't mind a mystery type film. That'd be interesting. I'd like to see what Guillermo could do with that because I think he's going to hold on to the stop motion element as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to see another movie from Guillermo and just try to see if he can do something else. You know, try not to like. I guess like I'd want to see something that's not already been done, like in a sense of like him wanting to get Pinocchio. He did a good job. I liked it a lot. I liked all
It
of
was
the
definitely the
movies.
best Pinocchio that came out that year
Yep.
out of
Yeah.
4.
And
Hear me out. Stop motion musical.
We kind of already got that.
Yes and no. I would love it, and a lot of people who are into musicals would love it, but a lot of people are really put off with musicals. I don't know what it is. But
I'm-
The
a lot of
last
people just-
successful musical that was released in theaters was La La Land. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. That movie only works great as a one-time watch. I watched it a second time and it went on forever.
Mhm.
Still loved it,
For
but
me,
I
I'm
cannot watch it again.
for me, I'm really picky when it comes to musicals. Like, don't get me wrong,
Same.
I like a good musical if it has a good story, and obviously it has to have good music.
There's something magical about Broadway musicals that just make it worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like movie musicals are fine because usually they are Broadway musicals brought to the big screen. But
it's not the same. It's not the same
when you have
because-
a budget behind it and you're not having to have like a
Mm-hmm.
constrained stage.
But also, when you're at a musical, you also feel a part of it. I think that's why
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the element that you're talking about, is that you're present in, not just only just watching people act, but also, you're there. It's a different experience from like, it's like, I think it would be a lot more appreciated in the sense of like, for the people who were able to go see, like, for example, like In the Heights, there was a lot of people who literally were standing and watching the behind the scenes and the filming of all these big musical moments of In the Heights.
Mhm.
I thought, when I saw those clips coming sourced through TikTok, I was like, oh, this is cool, getting to see like the behind the scenes of In the Heights and how they did different musical numbers and stuff. I'm like, I think that's worth being a part of, is getting to see the process of filming.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to like be a part of that, of just like, not like being actually a part of it, but like being like behind and obviously like away from everything, but being able to watch how the process of someone filming a movie and then having action and experiencing all that and getting to see everything, like all the takes
Mhm.
and stuff.
Right.
I feel like that's more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
But when it comes to stop motion, I definitely don't disagree. I think it is a dying art. Would I hate to see it go? 100%. I think there's definitely still so much creativity you can do with stop motion. But I mean, there's only so much you can say about it, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
But obviously, if it does die out, we still have these great stop motion animated movies. Nobody
100%.
can take that away from us.
Yeah.
And
I
it's just
totally
one of
agree
those
with that.
things. And yeah, so I mean, I would say if we were doing an outro, I would definitely say, hey, let us know in the comments below about a stop motion experience that you've had. Whether it creeped you the fuck out or whether it was a great movie. I will still die on the hill that is Kubo and the Two Strings. That is one of the most unique films I've ever seen in a long ass time. And what sucks is it took me till COVID to fucking watch it.
Oof.
Yeah. So fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, sadly, yeah, I think it's a dying art. I yeah, see it go, but like you said, we got some goodness to watch until the day we die.
Yeah. Had any expectations of like, yeah, have y'all guys heard or like read any mentions of like any new like stop motion movies coming out besides Chicken Run 2?
I haven't heard anything else. It
Nah.
is one of those things again. It's like
Mhm.
it's hard to, because again, it does take anywhere from 4 to 5 years. It takes a little bit longer, if not double the amount of time it would take to film a movie.
Right.
Mhm.
So there is that, but
And I think I hope that Chicken Run 2 at least does well. Not like
I do too.
I don't think it's ever going to get to the point as Kubo did, but like I think if it's done right, I think slowly more and more people
Mhm.
who are doing stop motion will slowly start wanting to come back if it does well. I think
No,
that's
yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
where we're at the moment with stop
Especially
motion.
if it's a financial success, I would definitely not be surprised if we start seeing more of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, So here's the hoping. Maybe Chicken Run 2 will be the renaissance piece that we need in order to reinvent freaking stop motion.
Because I know a lot of people who are now like, and the new generation who are still getting introduced to stop motion, and especially Chicken Run, because most of their family has all watched Chicken Run. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people. There's an audience for it. So
I think it also has to do with the right story too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
100%.
I think it has to be the right story. Like some movies, like I honestly can't really see in that type of media, but maybe someone will get an original story or do an adaptation of a different version of said story to bring that back.
right.
But yeah.
Well, and I think after this, we'll see. We'll see. I think we'll see more opportunities coming through.
Well, I will say, with how the last writer strike, actor strike, and all that went, we might get more stop motion after this one.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for too. I'm like, I think we're at a point to where we are going to see a flux of just a lot of things coming out of the woodworks that I think a lot of people weren't expecting.
No, 100%, absolutely.
And with that, we're gonna end it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you back in the next episode. We will figure out what the next episode will be. We have so many like topics we can go on. But hopefully, if you enjoyed this, please give it a like, share, and if you are looking for something else, like a different topic that we didn't cover in this episode,
Shout it out in the
playlist.
comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you have one that we haven't even talked about yet, just put it in the comments. We'll definitely consider possibly making one. And obviously, yes, if one of the ones out of the playlist obviously catches your attention, go ahead, check it out, give it a shot. If you want us to go over multiple points about more recent stuff, obviously you can go ahead and check out the podcast. We will be posting episodes Saturdays. As of this recording, we were actually supposed to record an episode today, but there was not enough news, so therefore, unfortunately, we did not get to it. But we should have one by next week of this recording.
I've been joined by Black Shad.
Important safety tip. Thank you, Egon.
DJ Lionheart.
Stay nerdy, everybody.
Never gets old.
Never does.
Never gets old. And also the lovely and wonderful Hungry
The immortal.
The immortal crazy.
the goddess.
The immortal demon that blood sucks everybody.
Hey,
Thank you.
There you go.
Give me my fucking title. I earned that shit.
Who also has a crown made out of candy that just fills everybody with joy.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Sure, if that's what you want to call that.
I'm sorry, it's a crown made out of. No, we're not going to go into that.
See you in the next one.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next one then.
And demonetized.
Hello, everyone. This once again is BlackShat56. If you like these videos, be sure to check out the playlist for SnodaReels. And of course, if you want to get some less in-depth thought processes on other topics, be sure to check out the podcast. We'll be dropping episodes every Saturday. Thank you all. Be good people.